All right, shalom, shalom. It's your boy Yakar from the GMS Chicago branch, coming at you another lesson through the Spirit of Power Yahweh Shema Shah. Lord will be edifying, exhorting, uplifting to the elect. All right, but I'm gonna just do a quick little lesson. All right, touching on this guy called Mr. Judge, man. All right, goes by the YouTube name Mr. Judge. All right, and as you see, this is fairly new channel, whatever. I don't know, like he got to me. Oh, okay, it's not new, but he don't have any subscribers or whatever, but recently, all right, he's been, calling themselves scoffing and debunking and, you know, trying to put the truth in a bad light, man. All right. And this guy, he doesn't know any scriptures or anything like that. He's trying to, deal with, I guess biological facts or whatever the case may be. I watched a few of his videos, but he wasn't really talking about too much, man. All right, he's using worldly wisdom, man. And some of that, worldly wisdom could be used in the truth. All right, but our main source, all right, is these scriptures, man. All right, and prophecy, right? History, so forth and so on, man. All right. And if you ain't bringing out no scriptures, man, then you're just a scoffer, man. You're just a demon, man. All right. And like I said, man, it's just your lot, man. All right, because you're not the first scoffer. All right. Starting with our apostles, GMS on down. Jake been dealing with scoffers. All right, for decades, man. Literally, right? And the same thing always happens, man. All right. Either they've come to their senses and realize, all right, hey, these guys are actually talking about something, man. I'm tripping. Or they fizzle out, man. And the Lord jack them up, yeah, they might draw a few people away, convince a few people, all right, but even that's the will of Yahweh Shema Shah, man, right? And this guy, he deals with AI, right? He does videos AI generated, the voice is AI generated, right? So he's not even showing himself, But like how in the world they say all publicity is good publicity. This is all, through the Spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah, man, because the scripture says. The 2 Corinthians 13:8, it says, "For we could do nothing against the truth, but for the truth." Right? So here it is, and he's making our job easier, man. Right? Putting the word out there more and more, man. I don't care if you're scoffing it, right? Or you teaching it. It's still being pushed, right? And now when I say, he's making our job easier, I'm basically just saying, man, like I said, good publicity. It's like all publicity is good publicity, man. Especially when it comes to his word. All right, because it's gonna land on deaf ears and it's gonna land on, prosperous ears. It's that seed is gonna be planted. Somebody's gonna, hear it, right? And in his mind, all right, he's putting these videos out, to shame or, to debunk or, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically shame us, man, right? But somebody come across this video and learn, right? Learn that they're, hey, what's the Israelite, right? And then they go look into it to see if he's right. And hey, they find out that this guy's tripping, man. Right? These guys are actually going to the scriptures, bringing out, biblical facts, biblical history, line them up line upon line, right? And that this guy's just butthurt, man. Right? And of course, the scripture says a carnal man can't discern things with the spirit. Yeah, you're not going to be, you most likely a heathen. That's a high chance, very high chance. Because like I said, man, your videos is AI. Right, and we can't see what you look like. We don't know. We can't hear you, right? But just off the spirit that you're coming in, right? You're most likely a heathen, man. I'll be Even if you do look like Jake, your ass still a heathen, right? Because you got such thing known as tears. Bros know what I'm talking about. All right, but yeah, man. Like I said, this man doesn't go into any scriptures, anything like that. He's just a scoffer, man. Right? You can't do nothing against truth but for it. This is Job 12:16. With him is strength and wisdom to deceive our heads. So like I said, man, even if you do draw away some people from hearing the word, or some people believe, right, in what you're saying, right? Because you're only making you're only making points from a worldly standpoint, and a lot of these people are worldly, right? They don't really, they're not really into the scriptures, man, right? Like people say they is, man, because people don't really read, man, right? But hey, it says to deceive and to deceive our heads, man. If you draw something away, man, that's their lot, man. All right, you still doing us a favor, man. Getting rid of the undesirables, man. Right? And you have to know the scriptures to know that that's a part of the scriptures, man. You're gonna have some that believe. You're gonna have some that don't believe. You're gonna have scoffers. They just like in the time of Ezra, you had the heathens trying to hinder us from rebuilding the temple, man. All right, hey, now we're rebuilding that spiritual temple, and you got guys trying to hinder that building again, man. Why can't why can't we just build in peace, man? Now, you don't even believe in the scriptures, man. Why you gotta come around here, and put yourself in the middle of something you have nothing to do with, man? Why? Because hey, it's all through the Spirit. The Lord set you up for this, and He's gonna judge you, man. The scripture says every idle word, man. You're gonna be condemned, man. All right, you're already condemned, But hey, yeah, that judgment is gonna come forth from your actions, man. All right, this is Romans 3:3. It says, "For the Son did not believe, should that unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid, yea, let it be true." It's like let God be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sins and mightest overcome without a judge. So it don't matter if you believe or not, man. You should have just kept your mouth closed, like the brothers were saying at the bishop's live stream, man. Should have just kept your mouth closed. You fucked up, man. All right. Now it's gonna be worse, man. You're gonna be beaten with many stripes, man. Right? For coming up against the men of Yahweh Bashmal Shah. The doctrine of the Lord, man. Hey, we're preaching the truth, man. Trying to wake up our people, man. Right? What you're very well 99.9% not a part of, man. Right? So hey, just do you, man. Right? But it's all through the Spirit, man. Like I said, you ain't the first scoffer, you ain't the last scoffer. We don't care, man. We understand that this is part of the program, right? And like I said, you're not even coming out with any scriptures, right? Not coming out with any real tangible facts to debunk from what the videos I watched. I probably had to watch more, but I'm already knowing you ain't coming out with nothing that's gonna trump what we're teaching, man. All right. Like I said, you have a lot of worldly points, and then that might trick some people up, but when you really go into these scriptures and go into history, then you understand, and it's based off faith as well, man. You have to have a faith, right? Because hey, we know in part, we prophesy in part, right? So we ain't got all the records to date back to our lineage and all that. All right, but hey, the Lord has revealed in these last days through prophecy, right, in history, all right, who the true children of Israel is, man. All right, so that is what it is, man. All right, so with that, I'm end up by giving all praise and glory to Yahweh Bashmal Shah, and shalom to you brothers out there around the face of the earth.